Welcome to our lesson exploring the dogs in Animal Farm. The dogs conclude our exploration of loyalists and workers in Animal Farm. They represent Stalin's KGB, secret police, and military force, who he used to enforce his power by instilling fear, suppressing dissent, and eliminating enemies. In exploring the dogs' obedience, we will first consider how they submit to Napoleon's commands without hesitation. In this way, they are symbolic of the Secret Service, the KGB, which carried out Stalin's orders when he came to power. Next, we will consider the dogs' violent obedience in the swift execution of enemies, and finally, their vigilant protection of Napoleon from any perceived threats. Let's begin! The dogs' immediate response to Napoleon's commands makes them obedient characters, as they unhesitatingly follow his orders. Their unwavering loyalty and quick compliance underscore their role as enforcers of Napoleon's authority. This is evident in the quote, "It was noticed that they wagged their tails to him in the same way as the other dogs had been used to do to Mr. Jones." The dogs' behaviour towards Napoleon, wagging their tails as a sign of submission, mirrors their previous loyalty to Mr. Jones. Their automatic deference to Napoleon shows their conditioning to follow the leader's commands without question. This behaviour underscores their role as enforcers of Napoleon's rule, obediently carrying out his orders and ensuring the other animals comply. An essential aspect showcasing the dogs' obedience is their execution of enemies at Napoleon's command, carrying out his orders without question. Just as the KGB unquestioningly eliminated Stalin's targets, the dogs stand ready to enforce Napoleon's will through extreme measures, further establishing their unwavering loyalty and subservience. This is clearly depicted in Chapter 7 when George Orwell writes, "When they had finished their confession, the dogs promptly tore their throats out, and in a terrible voice Napoleon demanded whether any other animal had anything to confess." In this instance, the dogs are used by Napoleon to execute those animals who confess to crimes against the farm. Their instant and brutal response to Napoleon's directive to kill embodies their obedience and loyalty to his authority. The quote aptly portrays the dogs' role as enablers of Napoleon's control. Their readiness to murder on command is indicative of their undying obedience and the level to which they are manipulated by Napoleon. This, in turn, helps to cement a climate of fear amongst the other animals, ensuring they remain compliant and do not dare to challenge Napoleon's rule. Finally, the dogs' unwavering obedience to Napoleon is demonstrated through their diligent protection of him from threats. Orwell illustrates this in Chapter 5 when he writes, "At this there was a terrible baying sound outside, and 9 enormous dogs wearing brass-studded collars came bounding into the barn. They dashed straight for Snowball, who only sprang from his place just in time to escape their snapping jaws." This quote represents the dogs acting on Napoleon's order to expel Snowball, a threat to his control over the farm. The dogs do not question Napoleon's command. Instead, they respond aggressively and promptly, underlining their obedience and readiness to act in his favour. Their actions, in this instance, serve to maintain Napoleon's unopposed rule over the farm, demonstrating their pivotal role as obedient enforcers of his authority. The violence and force with which they act is similar to the way that the KGB operated, carrying out the so-called Great Terror, which purged and eliminated Stalin's political enemies. And that brings us to the end of today's lesson. We discussed the dogs' immediate submission to Napoleon's commands, mirroring their previous loyalty to Mr. Jones. We analysed their violent obedience, exemplified by their ruthless execution of Napoleon's enemies, which underscores their unwavering subservience. Finally, we explored their diligent protection of Napoleon from threats, showcasing their readiness to act on his behalf. We also drew out parallels between their action and that of Stalin's Secret Service. Like the KGB, the dogs play a crucial role in maintaining Napoleon's power and control over the farm. Remember to keep revising this lesson and see you next time.